Welcome. My name is Kelly Detman, and I'm a Partner Technical Consultant at Microsoft. Today I'm going to be presenting the new system-wide features available in the R2 release of Microsoft Dynamics GP 2013. For the session agenda, we'll take a look at 7 new system-wide features added into the R2 release. First, we'll look at the new user interface components. Next, we'll cover how you can manage the online and offline state of a Microsoft Dynamics GP company. Then we will review the go-to functionality that was added to SmartList Designer. For the next feature, we'll see the new SelfService homepage features. Then we'll take a look at the enhancements that were made to the limited user type. We will then review the expanded functionality in Microsoft Dynamics GP 2013 R2 for emailing reports. Finally, we'll take a look at how you can back up and restore your database to Microsoft Azure directly from Microsoft Dynamics GP. We will now take a look at the new user interface changes that have been introduced in Dynamics GP 2013 R2. Starting with the Dynamics GP 2013 web client, there were several new components in the user interface. In Dynamics GP 2013 R2, those changes have been ported over to the desktop client as well. If you compare the following screenshots from Dynamics GP 2013 and Dynamics GP 2013 R2 desktop clients, you'll immediately see the changes that have been made. If you take a look at the right-hand screenshot of the sales transaction entry window, you can see this is from the R2 release. In the title bar, you'll see the name of the company database and the user logged on is displayed. You'll notice that the File, Edit, Tools, etc. menus have now been placed on the ribbon. The buttons that were previously available on the bottom of the screen, for example, Holds, User-Defined, Distributions, and Commissions, are now available under the Go-To button on the ribbon. If a window has buttons like a Windows Note, Help, OK, Cancel, etc. on the bottom, they will be moved up to the ribbon. In terms of tab order, the buttons on the ribbon are placed after the last field on the window. And finally, the system font has been changed to Seago UI. When clicking Microsoft Dynamics GP and selecting User Preferences, a new option has been added to the User Preferences window called Window Command Display. It gives users flexibility with their experience in Dynamics GP 2013 R2. The 3 options that are available for Window Command Display are Action Pane Strip, and Menu Bar. You must close and reopen Dynamics GP for these changes to take effect once you've changed the user preference setting. When you upgrade to Dynamics GP 2013 R2, you will automatically be set to Action Pane. The Window Command Display option is not available in the Dynamics GP web client. All web client users will experience the same UI, which is essentially the Action Pane. The next feature we will cover is the ability to take a company offline. This feature will provide a way for the administrator to take one, some, or all companies offline for a maintenance or administrative task. Some examples are a year-end close or an upgrade or update made to the system. The administrator will be able to select the companies to take offline and what users should still have access to when the company is offline. The administrator will also be able to see how many users are currently logged into the companies being taken offline and be able to send the users a message that will be displayed in Dynamics GP. When the admin has taken a company offline, current users will be able to stay in the company and continue working. Once logged out, however, they will not be able to log back in unless they are a user designated to access the company when offline. Users that attempt to log into the offline company will see it in the list of companies, but it will display that it is offline. If the user selects the company and attempts to log in, they will be displayed a default message or a custom message the administrator provided when taking the company offline. This is in contrast to previous versions of Dynamics GP in that before the administrator would need to manually contact each user in the system and ask them to log out. At the same time, there was nothing preventing other users from logging into that company in the meantime. The next feature we'll take a look at is the ability to take companies offline for maintenance. This feature will provide a way for the administrator to take one, some, or all companies offline for a maintenance or administrative task. Some examples are a year-end close or an upgrade or update made to the system. The administrator will be able to select the companies to take offline and what users should still have access to the company when it is offline. The administrator will also be able to see how many users are currently logged into the companies being taken offline and be able to send the users a message that will be displayed in Dynamics GP. When the administrator has taken a company offline, current users will be able to stay in the company and continue working. Once logged out, however, they will not be able to log back in unless they are a user designated to access the company when offline. Users that attempt to log into the offline company will see it in the list of companies, but it will display that it is offline. If the user selects the company and attempts to log in, they will be displayed a default message or a custom message the administrator provided when taking the company offline. This new feature is in contrast to previous versions of Dynamics GP in that before the administrator would need to manually contact each user in the system and ask them to log out. At the same time, there was nothing preventing other users from logging into that company in the meantime. To take a company offline, click on the Administration area page and select Take Company Offline under the Utilities section. You can then select a company from the Online Companies list and click Insert to move it to the offline companies. Note the Current Users field on the right. You can drill back on this to see the specific users logged into the company. On the bottom of the window, you will see your messaging options. This is what users will see when they attempt to log into an offline company. You can either allow the default message or select Custom and enter your own text. You will then click OK to take the company offline. If users are logged in to the now offline company or companies, you will receive the following message. There are users logged into the companies taken offline. Do you want to send the users a message? If you click No, the Take Company Offline for Maintenance window will close. If you click Yes, you can send the users a notification. You can specify which users that are logged into the selected company or companies will receive notification. You can also use the Send Message As options to determine how users will receive the notification. You can choose from either a notification message for users who are currently logged on or as a task with a reminder. When a company is offline, you may specify a single user that will still be able to log in to perform the desired maintenance or administrative tasks. You can do this by logging into Dynamics GP 2013 R2 as a user in the Power User Security role. Click on the Administration area page, then under Setup, select Company. Populate the User with Offline Access field to specify who is able to log into offline companies. If you would attempt to delete the user who has access to an offline company, you will receive the following message. You're not able to delete this user because they are assigned as the user that can log into a company when it is offline. Change the user allowed to log into an offline company and then you can delete this user. Let's take a look at the login experience for a non-administrative user when a company is offline. Users that log into Dynamics GP and look at the company login window will see that the name of the offline company will be changed to reflect its status. If a user tries to log into an offline company, and this is the only company they have access to, or if the user is set up to automatically log into this company that's offline, they'll see a notification that the company is offline. The company is currently offline for maintenance. Try again later. Now let's take a look at the login experience for administrative user. If the user logging into the offline company is in the sysadmin SQL Server role, the power user security role, or has been given permission to access the company when offline, they will see the following warning message when they select an offline company. If the user chooses yes, they will be able to log in. The next feature we'll take a look at is the ability to create go-tos in SmartList Designer. When a user creates a new SmartList based off an existing SmartList, the go-tos that already exist are copied over to the new list created. When a user creates a new SmartList from scratch, 3 types of go-tos can be added to the new SmartList. You can go to another SmartList, a navigation list, or a web page. To create a go-to in SmartList Designer, use the new Create Go-To button added to the SmartList Designer ribbon. Let's take a look at this in Dynamics GP 2013 R2. The first enhancement to SmartList Designer comes into play when a user creates a new list using an existing SmartList as a starting point. For example, if I expand inventory and then click Items, I can click the New button. This will use SmartList Designer to create a new object that is based on the item SmartList. When I click the Create Go-To button, you'll see the 5 that were already available in the default item SmartList are available for me to use on my new SmartList created using SmartList Designer. In addition, I can also add my own custom go-tos. If you are basing the new SmartList on an existing one, the go-to objects, as we've seen, will be copied over. You can delete those go-to objects if you don't need them, but you won't be able to edit them. To delete, I can just click on one and then click the Delete button. The second part of this feature is the ability to add go-tos, whether I've copied from an existing SmartList or whether I've just created a new one from scratch. Here you see a new SmartList I've created using SmartList Designer called Sales Unposted, and it was not one that I copied as seen in the previous example. If I click Create Go-To, there's no default go-tos that were copied, but I have the ability to add. I can add a go-to based on a Dynamics GP SmartList. It can go to a navigation list or a web page. I also have the ability then to set a default go-to once I've added them. For the next feature, let's take a look at the new Employee Self-Service Area page that has been added in Microsoft Dynamics GP 2013 R2. This feature will create a new home page in Microsoft Dynamics GP in either the desktop client or the web client. The new content page will contain necessary information and navigation to support self-service users. Let's take a look at this in Dynamics GP. The new Employee Self-Service functionality is exposed through 2 new options on the Customize homepage window. So if I click Customize this page, you'll see the Time Management and Procurement options. Time Management is for employees to enter their time, and Procurement is for purchasing requisitions. You'll also see a new role option has been added. So if I click Change Role, I can go down to Self-Service and set up a user as a self-service homepage role. Whether this is set up at user creation or after an upgrade to Dynamics GP 2013 R2, the homepage will be altered to include the 2 available self-service pages. If I click OK, you'll see these are the 2 new options that were added, Time Management and Procurement. We'll expand this one. This section is the info tiles. These are 100 by 100 pixel tiles that represent tasks that can be completed. Each tile contains a name and a counter that shows how many tasks of that time are ready for action. When you click on an info tile, you'll be taken to a navigation list. For example, this one is current time cards. There are 2 types of data available on info tiles, field data and summary data. If a user doesn't have security access to the navigation list behind a tile, that tile will not be visible on the self-service page. The next feature we'll take a look at is enhancements made to limited users. In Microsoft Dynamics GP 2013, we added a new user type field where you could set a user to either full or limited. For that release, we didn't treat these users any differently in Dynamics GP. However, the limited user license only allowed them to have read-only access to data and self-service functions in GP. This new feature in R2 will restrict the limited user to only access things such as inquiry windows, reports, navigation lists, and smart lists. Windows that allow users to create or update any data will not be available. The exception to this are the self-service windows that allow the user to read, write, or update information pertaining only to that user. Let's take a look at some of the details. A user in GP can either be set up as full or limited. Limited users are prevented from accessing windows used to update data. The exception to this is certain self-service windows where the user can only affect data pertaining to himself, such as the time and procurement sections we looked at earlier. All reporting is available to limited users, including Report Writer and SQL Server reporting services. A limited user cannot be a member of the Power User Security role. A user type field was added to the user setup window in Dynamics GP 2013, but for R2 the functionality has been enhanced. Attempting to make a power user a limited user will result in a message. This user has been assigned access to the Power User Security role and cannot be defined as a limited user. Review the security that has been set up. When you click OK, the user type is then set back to full. A power user will not be in the list of security roles to assign for a limited user. There will be double pass security checks. The first check is for the security role's access to the resource, and the second check will determine if a resource is available to limited users. So this is the new enhancement part. A general security error will be given if either check fails, and menu and area pages are filtered based on the second check, as they have been in the past for the security access. You'll see here in the Security Task Setup window, there's a new icon next to resources that denote that the window is available to limited user types. The next feature we'll take a look at is email reports as Word attachments. In Dynamics GP 2010 Feature Pack, the ability to send all reports from within Dynamics GP using email was added. The limitation to this feature was the report only was sent in HTML format. With this feature, we will now add the ability to send reports that have a report template in the docx format. Let's take a look at the details. For the Email as Word Files enhancement, users will be able to send any form using a Word template. In the Email Options form, you will now see a docx option available to send the report. When using the web client, it will automatically create a template for the report when you print the report and choose the template option. From that point on, you would now be able to send the report using the docx option. When using this functionality in the desktop client, you will first need to add isWebClient equal to true to the dex.ini, which will allow this to work in a desktop client environment. You will then need to create the template prior to sending via email, and this can be done using the template generator tool. After templates have been created for a report, you can switch isWebClient equal to true to isWebClient equal to false in the dex.ini, and you'll still be able to email those reports as docx attachments. This setting is just for the creation of the templates. You can quickly create a template for a report by printing it to the screen with the template option. And after a report has been printed as a template once, it is then available under Reports, Template Configuration, and it can then be emailed as a docx attachment. If a user would select the option Embed Reports in Message Body when in the Email Options window, the HTML file format will be selected and docx will not be available. Let's take a look at this feature in Dynamics GP 2013 R2. Under Financial Reports, if I click Account and then select my category report, I'm going to open this option by clicking Modify. If I click Email Options, you'll notice it's not an option to email this report in the docx format. So I'll click OK and select this option again. Click Destination. I have it set to template and to the screen. So what I'm going to do is print this report to the screen. It's going to generate the word template. After this has been done once, it'll now be available if I click Email Options to email this report as the docx file format. To take a look at Reports template configuration, you can see it was now added as a template under Financial, and here's the category template. So now it'll be available for me to email in the docx format. The next feature we will review is the ability to backup and restore database backups that are stored in a Microsoft Azure storage account. Starting in Microsoft Dynamics GP 2013 R2, the Backup Company and Restore Company windows have been changed to allow users to use a Microsoft Azure storage blob to hold their Microsoft SQL Server database backups. Both windows have been changed to add the Use Microsoft Azure storage option. Let's take a look at the prerequisites for using the Microsoft Azure storage options. For SQL Server, you must be on at least Microsoft SQL Server 2012 SP1 CU2. If you try to use it on an earlier version of SQL, you'll receive a message. The SQL Server version that you're using does not support backing up or restoring your database from Microsoft Azure storage. The other prerequisites involve the configuration of Microsoft Azure itself, and this includes creating a Microsoft Azure storage account and creating a blob container. Let's take a look at an overview of the configuration. You will want to see the accompanying manual, Microsoft Dynamics GP 2013 R2 System-Wide New Features, for hyperlinks and detailed instructions. In the Microsoft Azure dashboard, you'll create a Microsoft Azure storage account, and next you will create a blob container. In Dynamics GP, you will need to log in as a user who is also an administrator in SQL Server and navigate to Microsoft Dynamics GP Maintenance and then select Backup or Restore. Here we can see the window changes for selecting to backup a company using Microsoft Azure storage option. You will first mark the option Use Microsoft Azure Storage. If you're on a SQL version lower than the prerequisite, you will receive a message preventing you from marking this option. You will want to first enter the storage account name you used for creating your storage account in Microsoft Azure. Next, browse to the storage account you created in Microsoft Azure, select the Containers tab on the top of the page, and copy this URL to the URL to Container field in the Backup Company or Restore Company window. You will also copy the primary access key from Azure. After successfully entering this information and backing up a database to Microsoft Azure, these fields will auto-populate when the window is opened again, so you don't need to keep entering it. The Restore Company window has the same fields. Thanks for joining me today. As a recap, we've seen the changes that were made to the user interface. We've taken a look at how you can take a company offline. We've seen the new go-to functionality added to SmartList Designer. We've taken a look at the new SelfService homepage. We've reviewed the new features available for limited users. We've seen how you can email reports as Word documents. And we've taken a look at the Azure backups. Thank you.